Hey everybody, it's George from You Are So Much More. Welcome to this channel's second video. The first video we discussed embrace your thoughts and conquer your fears. That was a great first video. Today's video, Optimism vs Pessimism. Why being an optimist is more powerful. So in case what I've already said wasn't enough of a giveaway, this is the sort of channel where I encourage and want to attract people who like to think, who want to improve. This channel covers and will cover things like anxiety, inspiration, motivation, psychology, human behavior, social science, self-improvement, and so forth and so forth. So if you're already yawning, well, I ask you, sir or ma'am, why did you click on the video? Otherwise, if you loved hearing that and that's the sort of thing you're into, and trust me, if you're into this sort of content, you watch psychologists on YouTube in your spare time. You know who you are. If you're that type of person, hurry up, hit subscribe, because I plan on covering as many things as possible because I've had this burning desire to just be smarter about things, not in an arrogant, I am so smart and I'm gonna make you smart. None of that silliness, right? Just a place that exists on YouTube where the whole point is to have these deeper conversations. You like to be tested. You don't simply want to listen to someone who is parroting what you already believe in. Frankly, let's figure out what the best thing is together. So let's clarify firstly what an optimist is in my books and what a pessimist is. So then we understand each other. So optimist is you try to look at the brighter, better things of life. The glass is half full instead of half empty, as they say. Generally, an optimist is pretty happy in their lives. A pessimist goes in the exact opposite end, where this glass is half empty, not full. They look at the more upsetting things. However, the defense for the pessimist isn't that they want to be unhappy. It's that with pessimism, they feel that if they look at the darker side of the world, then they are more prepared to handle whatever evil or disappointment is thrown at them. So, like if you're playing it, like if you're waiting for a brand new video game, if you overhype, you run the risk of being disappointed. But if you're a pessimist, then maybe you're gonna refuse to be excited about the game or movie or book or play or whatever you're into. If you keep your expectations in check, maybe you won't get hurt as much. That's a general argument. A misunderstanding with optimism when it comes from the perspective of a pessimist. Optimism doesn't mean being blind. Optimism doesn't mean that you can't see the bad. What makes optimism so powerful, and why I strive to be as much of an optimist as possible, despite the fact that I am well aware of all the evils of the world and yada yada. The reason why optimism is so much more attractive is the fact that optimists are positive about life, despite the fact that they are well aware that not everything goes to plan. Optimism is a choice, and frankly, it is observably more powerful and harder to be optimistic in life in the face of challenges. It's a lot harder to do that than throw your hands up in the air and say life isn't so great anyway and be a pessimist. I feel that doesn't help you in preparing for life. Pessimism is not a good place to be. I have observed countless people throughout my lifetime, and of course in the media and everywhere I could look, a pessimist isn't as happy as they should, and I think that comes from fear. If you are always looking for the worst of things, if you always expect the ship to burn, so then when the ship burns, you're not surprised, cool. You're emotionally better defended for that disappointment. But that comes at a cost. That means your shield is never down in the first place, so you can truly enjoy a moment. Yes, things can go wrong. Yes, sometimes things suck, but you know what? Sometimes things are great, and you need to have your shields down enough so then when it's great, let's pretend the sun is optimism, right? Let's pretend the sun is all the good things. If you walk around with an umbrella every day, you're never going to experience its warmth. Making the argument that yes, sometimes it rains, cool, it does rain sometimes. But you know what? The sun is out more often than it rains, depending on where you live, but you get the point. You don't want to miss out on the sun. You're better off not using the umbrella or simply having it close by, letting the sun hit you, giving yourself the permission to be happier, and don't see it as a weakness. It is so much harder to remain an optimist than a pessimist. Most people who end up bitter later on in life and are pessimists were originally optimists until they eventually got beaten down. Someone who is older in their years and they're still an optimist, don't assume that because they're smiling and because they choose to look at the better things in life, don't assume that their life has been all rainbows and sunshines. Assume, especially if they're older than you, that they've experienced maybe all the bad you've experienced, maybe more, maybe just as much, but it's a mindset. You need to give yourself that permission. You need to train your brain, because your brain is like a muscle, to focus on the good, just so then you cannot be miserable. Because a happier you means you have happier friends and happier family. See, when you're happier, when you look at good, if you search for good, you find good. If you search for bad, you find bad. So why in the world would you look for it? That's not preparing you for life, that's preparing you for disappointment. You need to be strong enough to walk out in the sun without the umbrella, and yes, sometimes you're going to get knocked down on your ass. Sometimes rain, thunder will come out of nowhere, smack you down. You need to give yourself the confidence and belief to know that, hey, when that happens, sure, then you can grab the umbrella. But that doesn't mean you should walk around with the darn umbrella your whole life, especially when it's clearly sunny outside. Also, as far as psychology goes in the human mind, I can't stress how darn powerful your brain is and how negatively you can impact yourself if you choose to live the life of a pessimist. See, when you look, as I just said, when you look for bad things, you find bad things, and your brain can't tell the difference between its own existence and reality. If your brain thinks everything is bad, the toxins, the neurons, the brain chemical signals that are released in your brain are literally going to be in preparation for bad things. You're not going to get those good positive endorphins. And what happens is, if your brain believes something is real, then chemically your brain sends out the signals to support that. And once those signals are sent, then you literally will feel bad. You will feel drained, you will feel upset, and you will be moody, and you will not be pleasant to anyone, let alone yourself. And it's a slippery slope, because as you keep believing the false narrative that things are bad and to not give yourself permission to be happy, if you do that, then your brain sends those signals. Then it becomes a reality, because then your body functions. Think of your body as a factory. You give it rubbish to burn, which is the negative thoughts, well, then the system's going to run horrible, isn't it? But when you're optimistic, when you make the choice to be like, yeah, I can see some things are bad here, but I can also see overall things are much better. The signals that your brain is going to release with those more positive thoughts will, and this has been proven, release the signals and the toxins and everything to make your body feel better. And then when your body feels better, that means you do things more with your life, right? That means you will go ahead and vacuum when you couldn't bring yourself to do it before. That means you will take care of those pile of dishes that you've been trying to avoid. Trust me, you want to go down the road of optimist. It's a harder path, it's a more rewarding path, and it's a stronger path, and one highly recommended. You get one shot at life. Don't be a little emo crybaby about it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me. You have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you live on this big blue planet. God bless you all. See you for the next video. Alright, bye-bye.